I'm a clinical social worker at Clarksville Family Therapy, and I practice clinical hypnosis, among other things. I'd like to talk a little bit about what hypnosis really is about. Unlike what you might see on television or entertainment shows, hypnosis is really effective for a great many complaints that folks have. I do it almost daily with very good results in helping people attain their goals. Hypnosis is a deep state of relaxation that's cooperative in nature. It's a perfectly normal thing, not something that's done to someone. Reality is most people go into trance states several times a day. Students in my lectures often are zoning out somewhere else. I can do it when my wife's talking to me, probably more often than she would like. It's really a deep state of relaxation with attention focused in one direction. This morning, I picked out the clothes that I would wear, but as I was dressing myself, I was thinking about something else. My subconscious dressed me, while my conscious attention was somewhere else. Hypnosis isn't something that's done to someone. In truth, all hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. And it's a do-with process, not a do-to process. I have yet to say, look into my eyes, you're getting sleepy. And there's no time that I have power over anyone who is in a hypnotic state. It really is a collaboration between a hypnotherapist and a committed, responsive client. It's not magical or mystical, it's perfectly natural. Many times I'll get on the interstate at exit 11 driving to Nashville, and the next thing I pay attention to is we're at Briley Parkway and I completely miss the exits in between. That's called highway hypnosis, and often my attention is somewhere else when driving. Don't tell the state troopers. Some researchers say that people go into a trance state as many as 7 times a day. It's a natural state that everyone has, can, and will experience. Because it's a natural state, anyone can be hypnotized, really. Kids 6 and over, and anyone that has at least average intelligence. The only people who might not be able to be hypnotized are people who have severe mental disabilities and children under the age of 6 because of the lack of understanding. Anyone able to read a book and follow simple instructions can be hypnotized. The only other requirement really is a desire to be hypnotized. Everyone has the capacity to relax, to learn, and to be creative. Another kind of myth perpetrated by Hollywood and this sensationalism that goes with the entertainment shows is people aren't asleep during hypnosis. You're actually wide awake and very aware. Folks are actually hypersensitive. All of your senses are enhanced. Sight, hearing, taste, smell, emotions. It's closer to a state of daydreaming or relaxing. You'll be focused on the words of the hypnotherapist and your internal experience, and outside sounds will seem to fade away, but at no point are you unaware of what's going on around you. I liken it to a point when I'm laying in bed at night just about to fall asleep, and then remember that I should have got a glass of water or used the bathroom one more time. And I could get up and do those things, but I'm just too comfortable and don't want to. If someone broke into my house at that point, I would be able to respond to it. It's the same in a hypnotic state. You could get up and walk out if you wanted to. You're just too comfortable and don't want to. If at any point something alarming happened in the room, you'd be able to respond to it in the same way as my analogy. It's not really possible to get stuck in hypnosis. If I had a heart attack and fell over while someone were in a trance, either they would notice the commotion as I fell down, or after a few moments, when there was a noticeable pause in my narrative, at some point they'd become aware that something was amiss and either wake up, look around, or go to sleep, actually. But it's not possible to get stuck in hypnosis. It's your choice to enter into a relaxed state, and you can always choose to leave it. Another kind of myth is that folks might tell their deep, dark secrets, committing to those things that they've kept hidden from their closest friends. And in most hypnotic sessions, I don't ask people any questions. It's really me talking most of the time, other than simple yes or no sort of responses to kind of test cooperation level or trance depth level. So people really don't have to worry about revealing personal stuff. There's no contraindications associated with hypnosis, no dangerous side effects. I tell people it's as dangerous as sitting in a recliner, relaxing, and watching television at home. Generally, I do hypnosis in a recliner here, where the client's in a recliner. I'm sitting in a chair, much like the one in now. One of the kind of cool things about hypnosis is many people say that it's 15 minutes of hypnosis is approximately equal to 4 hours of sleep. You can't get stuck in hypnosis. Coming out of it's as easy as opening your eyes. Now, most people's idea of hypnosis comes from stage shows or entertainment. I have yet to have someone bark like a dog or cluck like a chicken. We charge extra for that. But that's also hypnosis. I do hypnotherapy or clinical hypnosis. And that's different than the practice that's been around for thousands of years, in that it uses hypnosis as a tool to create change. Clinical hypnosis involves interviewing and assessing clients before any hypnosis takes place, meeting them where they're at, clarifying what their goals are, bringing them into a trance state, and then doing whatever message is necessary for the subconscious mind to go ahead and enact the goals that the client's identified. It's pretty empowering for the client. I'm really assisting them achieve a trance state, and then they achieve their goals. It's really, really rewarding. Clients are always in control. You're never unaware of what's going on. I merely guide them into their own experienced state of relaxation. They can hear everything going on, and nothing can happen without the client's consent. I couldn't make a morally upstanding person do immoral things. The folks on stage shows who get up and do the entertainment things would probably do that anyway, if you put a beer in them, or maybe if you didn't. A good analogy for hypnosis is I'm sitting in the passenger seat of a car calling out directions to the driver. The driver's the client. The driver can choose to follow the suggestions given by the passenger, or they can choose to go a different way. The choice is always the client's. You're not unconscious in a hypnotic state. You're simply relaxed and have a very narrow focus of attention, something that's difficult for us to do when conscious. People remember everything said during a hypnosis session. In the way I evaluate trance states, there's 6 depth levels. All the way down to the 4th level, memory is automatic, as easily as if you were talking to me right now. Below the 4th gets in those maybe I remember, maybe I don't kind of thing. It's much like dreams. In those deeper levels, if I bring someone that deep, and I generally don't, but if I do, I simply make the suggestion, you'll be able to remember all of this when you emerge from hypnosis. And the subconscious makes a note to remember. And then folks do. Another thing that is a little different than what you might imagine, but consistent with the stage shows, is the idea of a post-hypnotic suggestion. I'll often leave a suggestion of something that folks will notice after they come out of a hypnotic state. It might be a color or a certain symbol, something common, and the post-hypnotic suggestion sounds something like this. When you emerge from this hypnotic state and go about your life, in the coming days, longer if you like, you'll notice this more and more. And each time you notice this, you'll be filled with a sense of confidence. Confidence that you've accepted these powerful hypnotic suggestions. And reminded of your ability to attain your goals. Even in the post-hypnotic suggestion, choice is given to the client. Kids from about the age of 6 and older are able to be hypnotized. There are a couple of things, I tell folks there are 4 things to be required. They're required to be hypnotized. The first is a desire to be hypnotized. No one can be hypnotized against their will. The second is an imagination, because I might ask folks to visualize a waterfall, or a set of stairs, or an elevator, or visualize yourself in the future, in a place that you want to be. Imagination is sort of crucial. An IQ above 70 is necessary, or the ability to follow instructions. Kind of paradoxical to what folks might think, at least what I thought. The smarter a person is, the easier it is to hypnotize them, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Hypnosis is appropriate for kids. Younger kids can benefit from just the relaxation associated with hypnosis. Many of my clients will remark afterwards, I have never been that relaxed in my life. That was amazing. I felt like I was floating on a cloud. I feel wonderful. And that's pretty cool. Now that I think about it, I may need to go home and hypnotize my kids. It's been a long day, and I'd like to feel wonderful myself. There are very few instances where a therapist will touch you in a hypnotic state. I may touch clients sometimes, but it's always on the wrist or the shoulder or the elbow, and I always ask permission before beginning the hypnosis session because I really don't want to violate any sort of boundaries with anyone. For folks that are concerned about what's going on or there's a level of anxiety, I offer to videotape the session, and the client can certainly have that. I have no qualms about it. I'm really a what you see is what you get kind of person, and nothing's ever up my sleeve. And the last thing I want is someone to not have recollection of being alone in a room with me, particularly in these modern times. Sometimes people have concerns about whether being hypnotized is okay if it meshes well with their religion. And, I've done a lot of reading, and I can't find anywhere where something that occurs naturally can go against what a higher power might want for us. Because it's a natural state and you go into trance states anyway, and it's used clinically to help people solve their own problems. At no point am I taking control of someone's thoughts or swaying their will, I can't imagine why it would be against anyone's belief system. And I'm always happy to address any sort of religious concerns. And, there's an opportunity for me to learn, and I always appreciate that. I don't do any sort of weird stuff that you might see by Googling hypnosis and getting YouTube returns. I don't do enlightenment training. I don't help people recover repressed memories. I don't charm snakes. I don't look for past lives or do any other religious or non-clinical applications with hypnosis or anything that's not accepted by professionals trained in the medical clinical communities. I do provide structured, direct suggestions tailored to what the client wants to work on, and the tools necessary to live life to its fullest. I am a Christian personally. I don't push my faith on other people, but my concept of my higher power, I believe that they would want me to become more holy and to live a more fulfilling life. I simply use natural functions of concentration, relaxation, and the natural abilities and talents of a client and of their subconscious mind to resolve difficulties we're having in life. To my way of thinking, that's something any healthy religion would actually encourage people to do. One of the great things about hypnosis, as far as I'm concerned, is it is amazingly effective and the results are immediate. I had one client that I spent months doing traditional approaches to for a particularly concerning thing, and he was reluctant to do hypnosis. I don't want to do that, kid. I don't believe in hypnosis. So, okay, you're in charge. We'll go the way you want to go. And on one particular evening when he and I were both really frustrated at our lack of progress together, he was like, dude, get in the chair. I'm going to hypnotize you. And he balked at first, but he went ahead and did it because he trusted me based on our relationship to that point. And we did the hypnotic session, and he came back the next week and said, hey, that thing that I couldn't stop doing for 6 months, I stopped doing it. And I asked him, how did you do that? And he talked for a while and said, well, that doesn't make sense because, for 6 months, 472 different ways, I've tried to get this through to you and you never accepted it. And you kept doing the same thing. The only thing different was, and he said, hypnosis. I didn't want to admit it. I said, okay, so what are we doing today? He said, can you hypnotize me again? Absolutely. Get in the chair. For most things, it only requires one hypnotic session to change it. Simple problems like smoking may take 1 or 2 sessions in as little as an hour. More deeply rooted complex problems might require more sessions, but they would have different focal points for each one. For example, someone that had OCD, we might do one hypnotic session for compulsions, another for anxiety, and they might need another session for the sleep problems that they've had, and so on and so forth. But generally, it's a one-shot deal for one complaint. There is a lot of overlap in complaints, and one of the things that amazes me is often we may have one specific thing as a target, but when clients come back, they'll say, hey, did you talk to me about sleep while I was hypnotized? No, I didn't. Man, I've been sleeping like a baby ever since we did that. Hey, dude, that's great. There's a lot of products out there, I know on the iTunes store for my particular phone, there are a lot of recorded hypnosis sessions, and those are effective if someone has some experience being hypnotized. They have a much lower success ratio than live sessions, same with group sessions, because those are generalized and they're not individualized to the person. And as similar as we all are, we still have individual needs and a nuance to each of us. I mentioned before, you cannot be made to do anything against your will. You can't be made to do something that you think is unacceptable or against your nature. You can't be made to violate your own values or accepted patterns of behavior. If I were to suggest something, the subconscious mind would simply reject it. I'm a very practical person. I like to do things that work, and I try not to do anything that doesn't. And I'll often get frustrated if I'm not making progress, if either me or the client is stuck. Hypnosis absolutely works, and it has almost immediate payoff, depending on what the complaint is that we're addressing. Some of the things that I have done a great deal of hypnosis here with amazing results. Probably most common is self-esteem. And I really haven't met anyone whose sense of self couldn't use some enhancement. Even those people who are over the top, narcissistic kind of folks, that's really a compensation for a really cruddy sense of self. So often people's first hypnosis session with me has to do with improving self-esteem. And I'll tell you, on at least 2 occasions, I've done that sort of hypnosis with someone, and on their next visit, gone out to the lobby looking for them and not recognized them because the whole air about them is different. It's amazing. Amazing. Any sort of anxiety-based things respond very well to hypnosis. Any non-biologic sexual issues respond very well to hypnosis. Sleep, amazing. Anything fear-based, phobias, whether it's a fear of blood or of snakes or of airplanes, anything that's based in habit, like biting your fingernails, smoking, mindless eating, all respond very well to hypnosis. Another area that I've done really good work and clients have seen great results from is performance improvement. My buddy's daughter gained 9 miles an hour overnight on her pitch in softball. Pretty amazing. Often we are our own worst enemies, and the internal critic that operates in our head, that's the limiting factor. Sounds great, right? Folks might wonder, how does it work? Why does it work? This is all theory, and I'm not sure how you might measure it. I'm a social scientist, not a bioscientist. But the idea is that we're only aware consciously of about 10% of our brain power, and about 90% to 95% is subconscious, below our level of awareness. The subconscious maintains all of our habits, all of our memories. It's the storehouse of our mind. The lyrics to a song that I may have heard once are in my subconscious, and man, you know, I should know that. And sometimes later it'll float up and I'm aware of it. That's kind of the screwy filing system of my subconscious. I don't know if that happens to other people, but it certainly happens to me. The conscious part of our mind is called our critical mind. It makes all the decisions for us. Our subconscious provides the response, the action, and anything that is routine. For example, driving down the interstate. The conscious mind is our short-term memory. It's logical, analyzes things, also a creature of habit, is self-aware, and a decision maker. It's the part of the mind that's in charge, and it's also very arrogant because it tends to believe it's the only part of the brain. Another function of the conscious mind is it drastically resists change. Even though something may be good for me, or good for my conscious mind, it tends to stay the same way because it's comfortable or familiar with the way things are. You can tell your conscious mind to stop smoking over and over and over again, but the critical mind will put up excuses not to. Man, I really want to quit smoking. But it sure does cool me out. I don't know how I'd get rid of stress or deal with stress if I weren't smoking. The critical mind, the conscious part of your mind, is exceptionally good at throwing up, yeah, but. And the information never makes it to the subconscious. Beyond the conscious mind is the subconscious, and it's the most perfect computer ever made. Every sight, sound, smell, taste, everything you've experienced since the day you were born is logged in perfect clarity in your subconscious mind. Now that's the problem. The subconscious mind has the intelligence and the worldliness of a 4-year-old kid. It's innocent and naive, and it tries to help, but it doesn't know the best way to do it. Imagine a client, or imagine a person who got into a bad automobile accident. The subconscious mind wants to do good. It wants to protect the person. And it may have come up with the best way to protect this person is to create a panic attack every time the person steps towards the driver's seat of a car. To the childlike intelligence of the subconscious, this may seem like the best solution. Whereas a better solution might be, hey, wear your seatbelt, drive the speed limit, don't drive in times when there's a higher number of drunk drivers, don't text while you're driving, try not to drive distracted. Given better instructions, the subconscious mind will do better. Another kind of challenge of the subconscious mind is that when I was 4, the way I perceived the things around me was limited to a 4-year-old's perceptive ability. If my 4-year-old were giving me investment advice or relationship advice now, I would probably hurt myself laughing. And yet, our subconscious mind thinks that its concept of whatever that issue was, when we took it in at 4 years old, or 10 years old, or 12 years old, is the absolute truth. With hypnosis, we have the ability to pull that memory out and allow the client to examine it with their adult mind or their more mature mind, or with more clarity than they might have at the time when the memory was stored, which may have been a very emotional time. And the information was skewed as we remember it. Once the subconscious mind has a proper solution, it'll quickly change course and do better. Because like a 4-year-old child, it really wants to do well. It just doesn't know how. Once the proper suggestions have been given and accepted by the subconscious mind, 95% of your mind is then working for you in comparison to the 5% of the conscious mind that constantly seems to be fighting against what I know is best for me. What you can expect, if you come specifically for hypnosis, expect to spend the first session meeting telling me what I need to know about you and your family and what you think I need to know. And what you're looking to change. What's your goal? As well as an introduction to hypnosis and Depending on how that goes, we might do hypnosis that session or maybe the next. The next visit takes about 30 minutes of more traditional sort of talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, rational emotive, continued assessment, and then about 20 or 30 minutes engaged in hypnosis. Hypnosis in and of itself is not therapeutic. It's been around for thousands of years. It can be used for entertainment, incorporated into sales. The power of suggestion is amazing. That's why people spend all that money on advertising during the Super Bowl. Hypnotherapy, clinical hypnosis, on the other hand, is the structured use of hypnosis in a professional environment using the same sort of things that I would say in a clinical setting in a more effective sort of state for the client. All with the intent of creating specific remedial or generative, creative change. Now, hypnosis can be paid for by insurance, but it really depends on what the hypnosis is for. When used to treat a medical or a behavioral condition that's otherwise covered by the insurance plan, the likely answer is yes, as hypnosis is simply another tool used to help clients create positive, lasting solutions. If the reason for seeking hypnosis doesn't meet your insurance plan's definition of medical necessity, then insurance probably wouldn't cover the sessions. If you have doubts, you can call your insurance company and confirm the policy limitations, or we can do it in front of you here. It's really up to you. For people using hypnosis for normal sort of clinical conditions, it costs the same as any other sort of psychotherapy session. For programs not covered by insurance, we can come up with a package sort of deal. This is something that I really appreciate, and it's probably the most rewarding thing that I do because it helps people very, very quickly, and it empowers them. And there's probably nothing more rewarding for me as a clinician than seeing someone come in struggling with the cross they carry, and then in 30 minutes smile and see hope and happiness in their eyes, knowing that they've set that cross down. It's amazing. It's amazing. If you have more questions about hypnosis, please contact us. I'll be happy to talk your ear off about it. Another thing I encourage people to do is do your own research, but do it with credible sources. Google has a site for scholars. The website is http://scholar.google.com, and type in search terms hypnotherapy and then whatever it is you want to do hypnosis for. Sleep, anxiety, women's pleasure, whatever it is that you're struggling with, and you'll get several results. And then read the abstracts of those results that show up, and you'll find studies by reputable people who may or may not be affiliated with hypnosis giving kind of the efficacy rating of those things. There's some listed on my website that I pulled down. The University of Washington School of Medicine said in a very small study, 43 consecutive patients going through a smoking cessation, 39 people who were hypnotized remained abstinent from tobacco use at a follow-up 6 months to 3 years post-treatment. That's 90.6% success rate using hypnosis only. Anything that's a habit generally responds well to hypnosis. Other studies will show that group hypnosis or tapes or things like that have a much less effective success rate, down to about 22%, which is still more effective than the 10% associated with other means. So, highly, highly suggest giving it a shot. You don't have anything to lose except your bad habits and the places where you're stuck. Thanks for listening. Hope you found this worthwhile.